Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty bold, a source manual that makes a really big promise.
Yeah, we're diving into the science of getting rich. And it flat out says it's a practical manual, not a treatise upon theories.
Practical. Okay. And the core idea, it claims getting rich is like an exact science, like algebra or arithmetic.
Exactly. Governed by specific laws. And if you obey them, wealth is guaranteed with mathematical certainty. That's the claim.
Wow. Okay.
And it's aimed right at you, the listener, who wants results, basically. The author says, look, you've got to take the fundamental statements on faith.
On faith.
Well, functional faith. You act on them to prove them. You don't need to get lost in the theory behind it all. Just do it and see the results.
Right. Prove it by acting. So our mission today is to unpack this exact science, the philosophy, the rules, the actions needed.
And it demands, total adherence if it's going to work.
So where does it start? It seems to begin with flipping our whole idea about the ethics of money.
It really does. Straight out of the gate, it challenges the idea that poverty is somehow virtuous or okay.
Okay. How so?
The text is blunt. It says you cannot live a truly complete or successful life unless you are rich. Full stop.
Whoa. So being content with just a little, that's actually bad, according to this.
Yeah, it frames it as a moral failure, almost. If you're capable of using and enjoying more, settling for less is called sinful.
Sinful? How does it justify that? That goes against so much conventional thinking.
It ties wealth directly to life's purpose, which it defines as development, constant growth.
Development, like personal growth.
Exactly. Unfolding your soul, developing every talent you have. And to do that, the book argues, you need resources. You need things to use.
Tools, experiences.
Right. And in our world, those things cost money. Freedom from excessive work, access to art, books, travel.
So the desire for riches isn't presented as greed.
No, not at all. It's framed as the desire for a richer, fuller, more abundant life. For more life. And that desire is called praiseworthy.
Praiseworthy, okay. It breaks life down, right? Into different parts.
Yeah, 3 motives. We live for the body, the mind, and the soul.
And none is better than the others.
Nope. All equal, all essential for a complete life. Body needs health, good food, recreation. Mind needs ideas, learning, beauty. Soul needs love, connection.
And expressing love often means giving, right? Which also requires resources.
Precisely. So fulfilling all 3 dimensions fully, well, it takes money.
So the conclusion is kind of staggering. It says the best thing you can do for humanity is to make the most of yourself, which means getting rich.
That's the logic. You don't help others by staying small or poor. Your duty is to become rich so you can live fully and then, have the means to help others do the same.
That is a powerful reframing. Wealth acquisition as a duty.
Okay, but if it's a science, it can't just be motivation, right?
Yeah.
Where does the actual stuff of wealth come from if not competition?
Right. And that moves us into the core engine of the book's philosophy. It insists getting rich isn't mainly about your environment. Because rich and poor people live in the same places.
Exactly. Or lots of talented people are poor. Plenty of untalented people get rich. It's not even just about saving money, being thrifty.
So what is it then?
It's the result of doing things in a certain way. Capital letters. A specific method.
Okay, a certain way. And that way is rooted in what?
The source of all things. This is where it gets metaphysical.
Let's go there. Tell us about this. Formless stuff.
Okay. The book uses the monistic theory of the universe, the idea that one is all and all is one.
Everything's connected.
Deeply connected. Everything is made from one single original substance, sometimes called formless stuff.
Formless stuff, like raw material.
Sort of. But think of it as more than just inert matter. It's described as intelligent. It thinks. It's like a living, conscious substrate of reality.
An intelligent thinking substance everywhere. Making things, that's a pretty wild concept.
It is. But the critical point for you, the learner, is the consequence. The supply of this stuff, and therefore wealth, is absolutely limitless.
Limitless.
Because this formless stuff is described as alive with creative energy, always producing more forms, always seeking fuller expression, more life. So there's no shortage. The visible supply is huge. The invisible supply is infinite.
Okay, that's a massive shift. If supply is infinite, then the whole idea of scarcity, of competing for limited resources.
It disappears. Or it should disappear from your thinking if you adopt this system.
Right. So if the supply is infinite and intelligent, how does a person, a thinking human being, actually tap into this ocean of potential?
Okay, first principle of the science, thought. Thought is the only power that can take this formless substance and shape it into tangible riches.
Just thought.
Well, the idea is that when this original thinking substance thinks of a form like a tree or a house, it takes that form. The universe itself is seen as a thought world. And our role in that.
We are thinking centers. We're capable of originating thought, not just reacting, but creating genuinely new thoughts or mental images.
Okay.
And by impressing our specific thought, our clear mental picture onto this formless substance, we cause it to create the thing we're thinking about.
That's the mechanism proposed. We initiate the creative process that brings the unseen into the seen, the potential into the actual.
Which brings us back to needing faith in those core ideas, right? 1, there's this thinking stuff. 2, a thought in it produces the thing. 3, we can impress our thoughts onto it.
Exactly. Those have to be accepted as the working hypothesis.
And the book says getting your thinking right, learning to think in this certain way is the hardest work in the world. Why so hard? Just thinking.
It's about thinking truth versus thinking appearance. That's the distinction.
Truth versus appearance, meaning?
Appearance is what your senses tell you right now. Maybe you see debt, lack, problems. That's the appearance.
Okay.
The truth in this system is the underlying reality of infinite supply, of abundance, of the formless substance ready to create.
So the hard work is seeing lack but holding the thought of abundance.
Precisely. Seeing debt but holding the clear, unwavering mental image of wealth and freedom, holding it with purpose and faith, despite all sensory evidence to the contrary, that takes enormous mental discipline.
It sounds exhausting, especially when, the bills are real. If doubt is a sin, as it says, how do you manage that everyday anxiety?
The main tool given for staying aligned is gratitude. Constant, conscious gratitude.
Gratitude? How does that work here?
It's not just being thankful, it's a mental discipline. It keeps your mind focused on the source, on the good you are receiving or expect to receive. It creates a harmonious relationship with the formless intelligence. The soul that is always grateful lives in closer touch with God, or the source.
Okay, I see the link. Gratitude affirms the flow, reinforcing the belief in abundance. Worrying does the opposite.
Exactly. Worry, fear, focusing on lack, that's called competitive thought.
Yeah.
It assumes supply is limited, that you have to fight for your share.
And that separates you from the creative source?
Right. Doubt is like throwing a wrench in the works. It creates a negative impression on the formless stuff and cancels out the positive creative thought you've been holding.
So this disciplined thinking, fueled by gratitude, leads to the clear and definite mental picture of what you want, not just vague wishes.
Absolutely not vague. You need to see the specifics. The house, the car, the trip, the feeling of accomplishment. See it as if they were actually around you all the time, vividly.
Mental ownership?
Yes. Mental ownership held with unwavering faith and a clear purpose. That combination is what impresses the formless. Any wavering, any time spent on doubts.
Creates a current away from you. Brings your hopes to shipwreck, as the book says.
Strong language, but that's the warning.
Okay, now, we need to pivot, because it's not just thinking, right? The book is very clear. The gold isn't going to mine itself and roll into your pocket.
Correct. This is critical. Thought is the power, but action is necessary to receive the results.
This is where some people might get stuck, maybe, just visualizing but not acting.
It's a common pitfall mentioned. You have to prepare to receive what you're asking for. And the book gives specific rules for action. First, about using your will.
Okay, the will. How should it be used?
Only upon yourself. Your will is to compel you to think the right thoughts and to do the right things. Hold the vision, maintain faith, act appropriately.
So, internal discipline, not external force. You can't use your will to make someone else do something like force a sale.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's explicitly forbidden. Trying to compel others mentally or otherwise is seen as wrong, like robbery. Your power is over your own mind and actions.
Got it. So what kind of actions then? If I'm holding the vision, what do I do?
You act now, upon the people and things in your present environment.
Now, not wait until things are perfect.
No waiting for the right business or the perfect situation. You use your current job, your current connections, your current resources to start moving toward your vision. Your present action is what causes the change in environment.
Act now to get the change.
Okay.
And the quality of the action matters, right? This idea of successful days.
Yes. Success comes from stringing together successful days. And a successful day means doing everything that can be done that day efficiently.
Efficiently. What does that mean in practice, not just being busy?
Definitely not just busy. It means doing each act, however small, with the full power of your mind, You bring your vision, your faith, your purpose into the action itself while you're doing it.
Okay, could you give an example? Efficient versus inefficient action today.
Sure. Inefficient action might be trying to answer emails while half listening to a meeting, feeling stressed, mind scattered. You're just going through motions.
Low power.
Low power, probably poor results.
Yep.
Efficient action would be focusing completely on writing one important email, holding the vision of your success, feeling the purpose behind it, pouring your full attention into crafting it perfectly. That act is now aligned with the creative power.
So every act becomes a vehicle for your intention.
Exactly. And every inefficient act is a failure in this system, weakening your connection to the source.
And this connects to the ethic of dealing with others, doesn't it? The non-competitive approach in business.
Absolutely. You must operate as a creator, not a competitor. This means you have to give every person more in use value than you take from them in cash value.
More use value than cash value. Explain that.
Whatever you sell, provide, or do for someone, the benefit they receive, the actual usefulness to them, must be greater than the money they pay you. Your transaction has to genuinely advance their life.
So no zero-sum games. It has to be win-win, but more than win-win. It's like win plus for the other person.
Precisely. And if you're in a business that inherently beats people, exploits them, or doesn't provide real value, the instruction is stark. Get out of it at once.
Because that violates the principle of increase.
Right. And the book suggests there's a psychological power here, too. People are naturally drawn to those who embody increase.
Ah, the impression of increase. Everyone wants more life, more advancement.
Yeah. So if you genuinely operate from this principle, conveying that sense of growth and advantage in all your dealings,
People will be attracted to you. Business opportunities will flow towards you.
that's the idea. You become a center of creation, and others sense that interacting with you benefits them. Even a brief encounter should leave them feeling somehow uplifted or advanced.
Okay, let's talk about some of the maybe more challenging advice towards the end, particularly about poverty.
Right. This is where it can sound quite harsh to modern ears sometimes. The instruction is to use your willpower to keep your mind off the subject of poverty altogether.
Ignore it. Don't think about the poor.
Not exactly ignore them as people, but don't dwell on the problem of poverty, the images of misery, the statistics of lack.
Why not? Isn't that burying your head in the sand?
The reasoning goes back to the creative mindset. Dwelling on poverty impresses thoughts of lack onto the formless substance, both for yourself and, in a way, reinforcing the condition. You can't help the poor, it argues, by thinking poor thoughts.
So how do you help, according to this science?
By becoming rich yourself. By demonstrating the cure of this science of getting rich. The way to eliminate poverty is to increase the number of people practicing these principles successfully.
So individual success through this method is presented as the real solution to systemic poverty.
Yes, and therefore conventional charity, especially just giving handouts that offer temporary relief without changing the person's mindset.
The text says it only tends to perpetuate the wretchedness.
It's a controversial take, definitely. The focus must remain relentlessly on increase, on your own mental picture of abundance. That requires being free from financial worry yourself.
Which makes becoming rich your highest aim.
The noblest aim, yes. Because true wealth, in this view, includes health, fulfillment, the ability to help others. Effectively, it encompasses everything else.
And one final, very stern warning about mixing systems.
Oh, yes. The book claims it contains the entire science needed. It specifically warns against reading other similar books or, quote, dabbling in theosophy, spiritualism, or kindred studies.
Stick purely to this one method. Don't blend it.
Right. The fear is that mixing approaches will inevitably lead to confusion, doubt, uncertainty.
Which, as we heard, are fatal to the process. They will surely bring your hopes to shipwreck. It demands a kind of laser focus.
Undiluted commitment. If you're going to test this science, you have to go all in on this science.
Okay, so if we were to boil down the whole cycle for you, the listener, trying to apply this,
It's basically believe. Accept the reality of this intelligent, formless substance.
then visualize. Form that clear, detailed mental image of what you want. Hold it with unwavering faith and definite purpose.
Then act. Act now in your current situation. Make every single action efficient by pouring your full mental power, your vision, into it.
And throughout, radiate. Always convey that impression of increase. Give more in use value than you receive in cash value. Be a creator.
That's the loop. Thought, faith, purpose, gratitude, action, increase.
It's a demanding system, but what really stands out even now is that core ethical flip.
Yeah, that line, you can serve God and man in no more effective way than by getting rich.
For anyone raised on ideas of humility, altruism maybe meaning self-denial, this just turns it all upside down.
It really does.
So the final thought for you to chew on is this. What actually shifts in your perspective if you start to consider wealth acquisition not as inherently selfish, maybe even a bit suspect, but as your highest duty, your primary service to yourself and therefore to humanity?
How does looking at it that way change the meaning and the feeling of your daily work, your ambitions, your financial goals?
Something to think about
Mm.
until our next deep dive.